Okay, so here we are in session two, and I'm just going to go ahead and start to share my screen. As I mentioned, we are going to go through the presentation, and then we are going to, like last week, move through a practice. I might move through it as we go through the presentation too. I literally have just been downloading all of this in real time, which is fascinating for me too, you guys. And we're going to do a practice, and then there will be an integration meditation as well. So my hope in presenting all of this to you is that between what we do as I present it here, the practices that you do to integrate it, the practice we do together after to try to integrate some of this. Um, at some point, if it doesn't land now, it will land at some point. Okay. And I ask you just simply you're not learning anything new here today. You're really not. So just simply relax and just allow some of this information to sort of come through. Okay. And notice the resistance. Notice the resistance if you have some. Okay. So we're going to recap a little bit, very briefly, the nervous system and the body. I'm not going to go into all the biology of it, but I recommend you do if you're dealing with a lot of issues in the body um, related to nervous system, related to vagus nerve, related to cortisol in the body, and other things that may be going on. And this is also where, science and doctors come in because there's that too, okay? And our physical bodies need to be in a state that is ready for healing and to be elevated to the next level. They have to be ready. They are going to always, our bodies, our egos, our minds, and other versions of us are always going to pull us back to the familiar. That's just how it is. So if we can bring awareness to this, that's what we're here to do. So today we're also going to work on understanding ego versus reaction. So we're going to look at the ego itself. And the reason why we're focusing on the body and the ego specifically, and then the biofield, is because the body and the ego are always going to be part of this third dimensional uh, field or matrix or whatever you want to call it, this reality that we're moving beyond, right? And so we as a collective need to, bring in more light, bring in more frequency, but so do we as individuals, which light is just information. So we can't actually anchor that in until all of the bodies and fields are ready to activate it as a system, if that makes sense. So we need to become consciously aware of all this in order, for us to really fully do this process. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about expanding the awareness or elevating it, the biofield and what the biofield has to do with all of this. And we're going to come back to Dr. Hawkins. I'm going to use the Dr. Hawkins map of consciousness or the calibration of the way he describes it as our consciousness or our frequency as a cord-like diagnostic tool for us, because that's the one I always go back to and it works really well. So we're going to actually do some, checking in on the consciousness of our physical body. She's her own consciousness. Our ego, it's its own consciousness. You can literally say every person, place, or thing has a consciousness, which is pretty crazy. And then some simple, hopefully, practices and an integration meditation at the end. Okay. So as I've been discussing, we're learning to bridge the body, the ego, and the field of consciousness together. All the work that we've been doing, we weren't really aware of, let's say, consciously when we were in this third dimensional sort of, I call it the field of the suffering, the matrix, you can call it whatever you want. So in order to it really integrate into the higher frequencies, we need to slow down to identify what is still over here in reaction, what is still over here and holding on, and then what's the barrier to releasing that so that we can move forward and shift and not be in resistance and not be in fear, and not have our body looping in, physical symptoms that seem to not go away. All right. We're here to actually heal that now. And it's going to be a combination of everything. And of course, we do need to actually have physical healing. We need to actually do physical healing on our bodies and fields as well. This can't all be done just energetically or emotionally. So, what we need to do is slow it down a little bit and understand our response. So, whether it's our physical body that's responding, our ego that's responding, our mind that's responding, or one of our other bodies, we can't really change. And that's why we need to kind of do this piecemeal and put the emotional body, energetic body over here for now and come back into the physical because you can't embody what your system doesn't feel safe to hold. Okay, so last week we started with the body and we determined, and I hope you've been practicing a little bit with, and we're going to do a little more of it today, but your body has its own consciousness. We're going to expand on that because it's not just the body responding. As we learned last week, it's the nervous system and the other systems, the vagus nerve, the cells, and then also we've got other layers, the ego, the mind, the fields around us. And then, of course, in the field, we have our other bodies and fields, right? We have our emotional body, we have our energetic body, and all the things. Okay. So we're going to just kind of slow everything back down here and just really focus in our the body, mind, and ego and the field that's been keeping us safe over here in the third dimensional reality. Okay. I just feel like I'm called to say something too. Um, so we humans are not actually conscious to what's possible. And this is actually, we can look at our history to understand this. 30 years ago, all of you, me, we're living in a world where we couldn't actually do what we're doing right now. We wouldn't have consciously believed it was possible to be literally together, you know, albeit virtually, but still together, working together like this. We wouldn't have been able to even consciously fathom it. So I just wanted to like bring that up. I'm being guided to share that because it's not something, your brain maybe could have even understood at the time or would even wanted to. If someone were to say, in 30 years from now, you'll be able to virtually be in a room, in real time, working together, sharing each other's energy and learning. And, and it would be basically free. And, you could actually affect each other from halfway across the world. Like, honestly, think about it for a second. I wouldn't have not believed it. And I was at the start of the whole internet revolution. And I still probably couldn't have conceptualized or consciously understood what we're doing right now. So I just want to say that these are all building blocks. Okay. We're not expected to know all of these things. These are building blocks. Okay. So before we can change anything, we have to slow it down and we have to really understand what programs we've been running in all our bodies and fields. So we have to be at the right frequency in order to fully receive healing, alignment, and activations or upgrades. And that makes logical sense. So now we'll pull it all back around to my favorite guy, Dr. R. Hawkins. Love this guy. So I've been using Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness to sort of give me diagnostics on all of this. Okay. So just to recap, I think most of you know about Dr. Hawkins, but it's a map of emotional and energetic states. So back to what I just said about the fact that everything has a consciousness, right? So we know that from 0 to 1,000, 200, he's measured as truth and integrity. Right around here, 200 you can also see is measured as courage as it relates to frequency. Hopefully everyone can see this. But 200 in essence is sort of truth, integrity, and willingness. Okay. And then above 200, we're opening up to expansion, healing, and openness. So if each part of us has a consciousness, just like every person, place, or thing has one, you can actually calibrate a brand. I do this. You can calibrate a person with asking permission, of course. You can calibrate basically anything because anything has a consciousness. You could calibrate a tree. You could calibrate a whole country, you know? And again, as a diagnostic tool, it's really cool to see what you can sort of uncover. So if each part of us, our bodies and fields, have a consciousness, um, we can actually calibrate then the consciousness of just the physical body to help us understand what may be blocking. Okay, blocking us from healing, blocking us from, I don't know, receiving upgrades, blocking us from, there might be something in our physical body that's stopping us from reaching our next level work in the world. And so we're kind of slowing it down here again. And what we're going to do, and I'm going to invite you to do this, and we can do this now, but let's slow it down right to just your physical body. So I think everybody here has a truth testing method of choice. You can use your body, you can use your pendulum, whatever you want. But understanding that your body is her own conscious being. And that reflects how safe and supported it feels, she feels, okay? Not your brain, not your mind, not your ego, not your emotional body. I'm talking your physical body, the nervous system in your physical body, all the systems in your physical body. She is a conscious being, okay? So let's tune in. So, what we want to do is learn how to tune into where it's operating from so that we can understand if there are blocks and barriers that may be just in the physical alone. Okay. So let's ask the question. And if you have your journal beside you, ask the question from 0 to 1,000, with 200 being truth and integrity. Where is my body currently vibrating? Start with that question alone. And I always start with, is it above 200? Okay. And no one has to share any of this. Just sort of take your measurement. Okay, and you just keep going. If it is it above 250? Is it above 300? Is it above 350? And you know what? It's okay if it's below 200. It is literally just a diagnostic tool. If it's below 200, that's okay. It's actually just information. That's all. We just want information here. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little context before I get to the next question. So if your physical body is vibrating at, let's say, between 100 and 150. Okay. Remember that that's not bad. Anger is not bad. There is a call to action that comes with anger. Okay. Um, Even pride has sort of the ability to, push you to do something about it, right? Whereas I'm just going to remind you, being vibrating at about 30 or 20 in guilt and shame, there's actually just nothing. There's no point to that, So if you're vibrating, if your physical body is vibrating below 100, because 100 being fear, it's just information. No one's better than the other, okay? I need you to look at this just as information. So, where are you vibrating? And it can be an approximate. And then if you want to just look at the scale of consciousness right here, and then just maybe write down too. So if you're vibrating at, let's say, between 300 and 400, you're vibrating between acceptance and reason, which kind of could make sense. If you're vibrating below 200, again, no judgment, it's just information. So where on this scale is your physical body vibrating? Okay. So we're not going to share anything now. We're going to come back around to this. Okay. So this is just a process. I'm giving you sort of a way to, a diagnostic tool to understand what's happening with your physical body. And there is no right or wrong. Okay. And yes, there may be blocks in you being able to get a number. That's okay too. We'll come back to that. Okay. Or a range. You can get a range. Okay. You don't have to have an exact number. I typically am getting a range actually anyway. Okay, so again, to just understand this, your body has her own consciousness. Okay. And outside, you have a collective consciousness of all of your bodies and fields, but we're talking just about your body right now. Okay. All right. Now think about something that you think or you feel or maybe just one thing that you would like to heal in your physical body. in your physical body, is there one thing, okay? Blood pressure, cholesterol, I don't know, inflammation. Just pick one thing. The inability to lose weight. Just pick one thing, but something that comes up for you a lot. Okay, so write that down. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is we're going to ask the question. Now, the ability to heal has its own consciousness. This is where it gets interesting. There's lots of layers here. Remember, these are all diagnostic tools. Okay, they're just tools. So now I'd like you to ask, so what you're doing is you're going to calibrate the consciousness of your body's ability to heal. Okay. So we're, again, just getting information here. Okay. So from 0 to 1,000, obviously with 700 to 1,000 being the ultimate place for your body to be able to heal, because that's in enlightenment, joy, peace, and love, faith. Okay. So that's, the ultimate, environment of consciousness for your body's ability to heal. Okay. From 0 to 1,000, with 200 being truth and integrity. What is the consciousness of my body's ability to heal blank, whatever you said? It could be anxiety, by the way. It could be anything, but physical. Pick one thing. Okay. So just notice, and we'll come back to this a little bit later, but notice so if you got a 200, for example, again, if you got under 200 again, if the consciousness of your body's ability to heal is under 200, okay, so let's say it's 175, 150, or 125, or even back at 100 or below, okay? What that's telling us is there's blocks. And it's in your physical body. There's blocks in your physical body, not your emotional body, not your ego, not your child self, not your shadow. Your physical body is vibrating, or there's a block based on where she's vibrating. Unless she's vibrating at 500 to 700, you're good to go. Even though we still want to have some more information. So basically, if you're not at 700 to 1,000, or even 600, even 500 to 1,000, okay, which would be optimal healing, right? Why? Is there a block? So start to ask some questions. Remember, we're talking about your physical body now. Is there a block? Is there a barrier? Is there a miasm? So I'm going to remind you what a miasm is. A miasm is actually something that has happened in the cells of your ancestors. So something would have caused fright or fear or anger or grief that would have actually altered the cellular memory of your ancestors. And that becomes a miasm, which is a response. So, like diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, cancer, a lot of these things are actually miasms. So when your body becomes a match for that frequency, that miasm actually can be embodied in you. So it doesn't affect everybody in your ancestral line, but if you become a match to it for lots of different reasons, it can manifest in you. So that's called a miasm. So you can ask questions based on, the consciousness of my body's ability to heal this. Is there a block? Is there a barrier? Is there a contract? Is there cords? Is there a miasm? Is there something physical that needs to be done? We're just information gathering here. Okay, we're going to keep going. So just as a reminder, if your body is calibrating between 200 and 400, it's operating in courage and willingness. Remember that this is all an ish. It's just information, okay? So what is it that's still being held in the physical body? Just like when we do work in the emotional body, we identify trapped emotions. Those would be the reasons why we couldn't heal or raise the frequency of our emotional body, right? No different here. So what is it that's, is there a contract? Is there a cord? Is there something preventing you from moving into peace, love, and higher awareness, or at least vibrating at peace, love, and higher awareness, which is the ultimate state of healing? Which then, if you apply, you know, well, medicines or frequency healing or other physical healing, that what we were talking about earlier, your body will be in an optimal state to receive that. Okay. So cellular imprints could be there, something physical that needs your attention. See what we're doing? We're actually just kind of creating another diagnostic approach, just like emotional release is. Okay, so I'm going to give you another minute just to even just tune into if anything other information is coming in from your body. Okay. Is there any other information coming in from your body? And maybe you just want to sit with it for a minute. She's a conscious being. And remember the exercise of your breath, finding your breath, coming right into your body, feeling your body. There might be something else she has to say. And I'm just going to remind you to also simply notice the resistance if you're in resistance to this. If this is making you feel overwhelmed, if you're starting to feel a little panic, just notice that too. Just notice the resistance. Notice how it feels in your body. Or the opposite. Notice the information and how it may be making you feel more empowered because you've got another way of looking at this. So just notice. Your body as a consciousness. Okay, so we're going to add another layer here. So let's take this and pin it, put it over here. It's very good information. Okay, so that's a wonderful layer over here. Okay, we're not solving anything. We know what's going, there's some of us that need to kind of go back to this, and maybe do a little bit more digging, and try to figure out, if there's anything specific that may need to be done in the physical body. Okay. But let's put what we've gathered over here for now. Okay. And now we're going to add in the other layer of the physical ego, mind, and mind. Okay. Where there's a consciousness there to look at too. Okay. So let's pin the physical body. We say thank you to her. We'll be back. We're going to tune back into her too. Okay. So let's move into now the ego. Okay. And understanding again, the ego as a consciousness. So just a few definitions. The ego is a protective intelligence within you. It's here to help you. It's here to help you survive and thrive in this old field, this very three-dimensional field. I have to go to school. I have to, get married and have 2.5 kids. I've got to have a job. I've got to pay the bills. I've got to retire. That's a really basic summary of this field over here or this world over here. But that ego has done a very good job, as has the body, keeping you safe over here and thriving, right? So it's about now breaking it down to really get to know that ego, loving her, loving that ego, not judging that ego, just looking at it. That's it. That's all we're doing now. So reminder that your ego, just like your body, responds from what it has learned in order to keep you safe, just like the body, just like the emotional body. Okay. Your ego is in a responsive state. It is learned. It's like AI. It has learned how to keep you thriving in this space. So it often operates in fear or control or urgency or needing to be right or not wanting to be right. There's a lot of things going on with that ego, that beautiful conscious ego of ours. Okay. And those reactions will feel real because it's been working with your physical body, which your body has been responding to. And your body believes what your ego is telling it. So does your mind. Your mind also believes what your body and your ego are telling it. So when you slow down and calibrate, we're going to do this again. We're going to calibrate the ego. What we can do is we can start to see or unpack or, decode what's actually running underneath that program. Okay. So we've put the body over here. So think about the same thing that you were asking about with the body. Okay. So whatever that issue was, okay, maybe it's I can't lose weight, or I'm always sick, or I'm looping in this, or the same thing. Think of the same issue that you had before. Okay. Turn the page if you need to. So it's a whole new. Okay. So same issue, but related to your ego. Okay. I'm going to go backwards and we're going to go back and we're going to recalibrate the ego. Okay. So the ego. Now let me describe to you the ego. The ego shows up when you're in an argument and someone says something and you automatically assume that you know what they mean. And then your ego says, oh, I'm the victim again. Your ego is the version of you who has a consciousness, who may still kind of be feeling like she's the victim. Your ego is the version of you who may still feel like it's got this hill to stand on, right? It's going to stick to what it knows and what it believes to be true. Your ego can show up in lots of subtle ways too. Your reaction to someone criticizing you, um, your judgment of others. So really recognizing what it is your ego is here to do. And remember, all of those things that she's doing in response is, again, it's information. So your ego then is informing your body and your mind, oh, how do I need to react to this situation, based on what I know about it. So it may be I need to keep my mouth closed because if I say something, I'm going to cause, an argument. Okay, so well, part of that is ego. Well, part of that is ego. The ego would be the version of you that says, oh, I'm going to be the victim again because I can never speak my truth. But what if the ego was healed and the ego realized that her voice was really important too? Okay, so there's lots of, can you see where the ego comes in? Okay, and what her role is. All right. So now, first ask the question, based on that other question you asked, I want to heal. What is the consciousness of my ego in relation to said healing or whatever you want to move? So you can even ask a simple question. What is the consciousness of my ego in relation to healing this? With 200 being truth and integrity, from 0 to 1,000, what is the consciousness of my ego? You can even ask a simple question. Is my ego in any way involved in whatever's blocking me from healing this? Ask that question. It might be a no. And then just notice based on what range of number you get, where that vibration is. So if your ego is still gripping onto fear, because that's familiar. So that ego is always basically waiting for the next shoe to drop. So the ego's reaction is always going to be out of fear. So that could play out as, unwillingness to, receive a certain kind of treatment, for example. It could be a contract that you've made not to, give away your power. I don't know. Again, just information. We're just information gathering here. What would be also interesting is to see, you could even ask the question, based on this issue to heal, um, ask the question, is it my body that needs attention? Or and then ask, is it my ego that needs the attention? Or is blocking me from, is it, what's the percentage of the ego blocking me from this? And then just also to add, so the mind is involved too, but the mind is running from programs that's informed by your ego, outside programming in your body and everything else going on. Okay, so your mind may be running a script in the background. I can never heal all of this. Uh, this isn't logical, or science doesn't prove this. That sounds like a script or a program or a belief system. So just notice if you had any thoughts as I've said all this. Okay, so again, just information gathering. So what we're doing here together is slowing it all down so you can separate the automatic ego reactions. So quite literally, your body is reacting, your ego is reacting. They're in reactive mode, okay? So we want to slow it down so we can start separating the body's reactions, the fight or flight, all the things, the ego reactions, okay, which may include scripts and programs you're running, like I'm the victim, or this isn't based in science, I can't do it, or this person will never change. I don't know. Just okay. So what we're doing is we're separating those reactions from conscious, aligned responses. So I'm going to keep going, building off this. So what we're understanding here now is it's not just happening inside you, it's happening around you too. So the other layer to add on to this matrix 3D reality over here is your biofield, your auric field. So this is, now we're getting more comfortable. We're coming back into what we know, which is ironic because you'd think it'd be our physical bodies, our egos that we would have figured out by now. Okay, so this is where it gets cool. Because in addition to those two things happening, so we got ego consciousness here, we got body consciousness here. We're now kind of also understanding, oh, the mind has programs too, that's, keeping us over here looping. So now we got to add the other layer, because we're also sensing, processing, and responding to what's moving in our field. So this is where we get comfortable because we know this stuff. We know we can absorb emotions of others. We know that, EMFs are going to affect us. We know that there is programming. We know that there is actually sound affects us, all the things, okay? So what's interesting is the body reacts, the ego interprets, and your field, though, is actually interacting, okay? So your auric field and your biofield is actually interacting. It's like the middleman. Your field's interacting. So it's interpreting information also to inform everything going on over here. Okay. Again, all of it keeping us safe, keeping us, grounded, keeping us surviving, hopefully also keeping us having fun. I don't know. So in essence, the field, so the biofield, the auric field, it's receiving and interacting with the energy too, but the field is interpreting. That's kind of its job. Okay. So this is where the biofield comes in. So there's a whole other consciousness, I guess you could position it this way, for the biofield. And the biofield, as you know, I love Eileen Mikuziak's work. And I mean, this map of the biofield works every single time. Whenever someone's holding pain or tells me they're experiencing pain in certain parts of the body, almost every single time this map of the biofield. And I've always said to you, our bodies are literally maps to what's going on. And now we're understanding all of the different layers of what's going on in our bodies and fields. But this biofield of ours is interacting at, so we have a biofield, which is like a soul memory, and it's receiving and interacting. And then we collectively have what's called a morphogenetic field. So it's picking up off of everything too. So literally our whole body is just, our whole being is consciously responding and interacting all the time. So by slowing it down, we're just getting a little bit more information, right? So this field processes and interacts with your energy, both yours and what's around you. It responds to your thoughts and emotions and your nervous system responses. It's like, oh, dude, I'm going to respect you. You're having a panic attack over here. If that makes sense. Okay. So the biofield is going to be like, okay, yeah. Oh, okay. We can't do this right now because this version of us is having some panic, right? Okay. It also holds past experiences, patterns, imprints, and it's constantly receiving and interpreting information, which means now we understand why not everything we feel is actually our own, because it's actually being received and interpreted in our biofield. And then that information is coming down to for example, for our central nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, our fight, flight, freeze. Oh, we need to fight, flight, freeze here. So it's all sort of just integrating and interpreting. And your physical body's doing the same thing on her own. Okay. Okay, so we know then that this auric field, the biofield, is not separate from you. It's an extension from you. Okay, and it is responsive. And the science behind it is that body does generate measurable electrical and magnetic activity. We are energy, okay? The heart and the brain also contributes to the field around the body and the biofield, and it's dynamic and responsive all the time. And that I said that earlier, that the part of our biofield is also connected to the collective morphogenetic field. Okay, so we're pulling information off of that. Okay, so it's responding all the time and receiving information, and it's also going to pick up information from your own environment. So your field responds to your biofield, your auric field responds to your own emotional state, your thoughts and beliefs, your nervous system regulation, your environment, your surroundings, the people and the energy around you, and the level of awareness you're bringing to the experiences. Okay. In addition, it's also responding to collective emotional fields. That's why we say, is this mine? I could be picking it up off of the collective fear. That can happen all the time. That's why we say, ask if it's yours. You could be picking up off of your daughters or your parents' fear, stress, or intensity at any time. So it's also picking up off of, sadly, the environmental frequencies that are not good for us, like the EMFs. It's also picking up and responding to input information that are coming from media, conversations, all the internet, the things we're taught, all of the things. And I know a lot of you, if you're empathic, I mean, I'm like this, energetic environment. So just even being somewhere I often use the Costco as my reference. The Costco doesn't make me feel good. It's too much. It's too much going on for my particular fields, bodies and fields. Can I heal that? Probably. Can I maybe not be as responsive? Maybe I need to dig into a little bit as to why. What do I need to do? Strengthen it? Is there something in my physical, consciousness that is blocking me from doing that? Raising my frequency so that doesn't bother me? I don't know. So we're coming back to one of the main things that we always say. Not everything is yours, but your system is responding to it. So we can't even responding for you even to be aware of the resistance to this is something. It's your system responding, which means there's information in there for you. There's knowledge, there's light. Okay, so let's bring it all together. We've explored the body, the nervous system, the ego, the fields, and how each of these have their own way of responding or processing. I'm just going to pause here too. For those of you who are doing specific other modalities, like let's just the emotion code, for example. You could also ask that question about how does my ability to heal this trapped emotion, where does this calibrate? You could also use it in that context. So from 0 to 1,000, basically, what's the consciousness of my ability to heal this trapped emotion? Could also use the same diagnostic tool. So imagining or understanding that your emotional body is its own consciousness too. It's just a whole other level. Okay. So back to why we're talking about all this, because you can't embody the new if we still have excavating to do and regulating to do and healing to do. And most importantly, understanding, right? We're here. What is consciousness? It's information, right? What is, and new information. And if your body is still bracing for the next, shoe to drop, if the ego is still in reaction mode and you're not aware of it, that's why I have to slow things down. And if the field is still processing unconsciously without you kind of stopping to go, oh, wait a minute, why, I'm not feeling so great in the Costco, right? If it's still processing unconsciously, we got to slow it down because this new light, this new frequency, this new baseline, it's called a baseline, can't really become embodied unless we've healed those things in us. So really all of this is about just understanding what's running. It's not about doing more healing. It's literally about becoming more consciously aware of what still needs attention and love, for lack of a better word. And what is light? What are we integrating? Light is knowledge. So what we've already done just now is broken down and provided ourselves with more insight and more knowledge about what might be happening specifically with our physical body in its relation to heal something specific. And it could be something as simple and it could be ancestral. So it could be something in your cellular memory that needs to be dissolved. I mean, it could be, a miasm is ancestral. Okay. But I really invite you to do this process with your physical body. If anything, even just your physical body. And then just be aware of where your ego may also be holding you back a little without judgment. Okay. So, as I've been saying, and we all know, our frequency is being elevated across all bodies and fields. We have to move what no longer aligns. We can't stay in this vibration, this frequency, this kind of alignment with all the protections in place, with all the contracts, with all the things, and still rise in frequency and embody what this new information, technologies, abilities, clairs. There's still going to be so many blocks. The but what ifs or buts are still going to come into play. And it's like what I said earlier about the fact that 30 years ago, we wouldn't have ever even imagined that we could be doing this now, right? And so we have to move what no longer aligns so that we can rewire our physical bodies, our egos, understand what programs we're running, rewire our emotional bodies, yes. Clear and heal our biofield, clear and heal ourselves physically, okay, so that we can actually integrate these new frequencies. And that is actually how we elevate our fields. So, in general, our healing actually begins with the nourishment of our body. And that, quite simply, if I can bring it down to like just the basics, is what do I need? What does my physical body need? What does my energetic body need? What does my emotional body need? And where's my ego showing up? And what does my ego need? And the truth is that's what gets us into a state of healing. And our bodies already know how to heal. Our bodies, back to what I talked about last week, are the most amazing, amazing conscious beings. I mean, the amount of systems that have to work and things that happen in our physical body on a daily basis, we can't even comprehend what we can actually do. And that's why we need to slow it down so that we can speed it up.